Good afternoon. This is Mundi DIAS from AZO. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can all hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for joining us today for the second Copernicus Accelerator webinar on DIAS offerings for startups. We are very happy that we have representatives from all 5 Copernicus data and information access services with us today. And we would like to use the opportunity to give you an introduction to the voucher scheme. That is an additional offering to all mentees in this year's Copernicus Accelerator. And all DIAS will give you an update on their services and offerings. And after each presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask questions to the panelists. But before we get started, I would like to give the floor to Martina Sindelar from the European Commission for a welcome.
Yes, thanks a lot, Ulrike. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ulrike?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So good evening to everyone. As Ulrike said, my name is Martina Sindelar. I'm working in the Copernicus user uptake unit, and I'm responsible for the Copernicus Masters and the Accelerator program. So I guess some of you who are participating now, I met in Marseille. So welcome to all of you. I am sure this will be an interesting session today because what Ulrike already said, it's a new element. The voucher scheme is a new element in our startup program. We had the idea to bring this element into the startup programs. As you can easily imagine, the DIAS is for Copernicus and particularly for DG Growth, for our unit, a very important project. And since our mission is to promote the user uptake, the use of Copernicus, it was a logical step to do also something to promote the DIAS and to bring closer the DIAS to the startup. So I don't want to talk a lot. I would really encourage you not only today to take advantage of the presence of the colleagues from the DIAS, but also to take advantage of the contacts which have established. So each DIAS has a contact point from both sides, from the DIAS side and from the startup side. Take it as an opportunity. I'm sure both sides can benefit from these contacts. We will certainly, with our colleagues from RZO and SpaceTech, follow it with attention and to see really how these cooperation will succeed. So please take advantage. It's a real great opportunity, I think, which you have, and also an opportunity for us. So I wish you an interesting discussion, and yes, hope to see or at least listen to you in short time again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Martina. As you have all had the chance at the boot camp to get in touch with the DIAS and the general concept of the DIAS, I would like to jump right into the presentation of the voucher scheme that we have established together with my colleague Daniela, who is with me today, together with the DIAS. My presentation isn't working. There we go, sorry. So you all know that there are 5 cloud-based Copernicus platforms and that they offer the Copernicus data, but in addition, all of them have additional services, especially for storage and processing, but they also have value-added services, tools. They offer consulting services, some additional data, and that is the offer that you can benefit from through the vouchers. The vouchers will be provided by Creo DIAS, Mundi Web Services, Onda DIAS, and SoBloo. The fifth DIAS, the Wikio DIAS, is also with us today, but they will not be part of the voucher scheme, but nevertheless we'll give you an update today on their platform. With the DIAS vouchers, we want to give you the chance to benefit from these additional services that are offered on commercial terms, and each of you will receive a voucher worth €2,000. We have established some conditions or rules for using this voucher scheme with all the DIASs, and they can be requested with one DIAS. So each of you has to look into the service offerings of the different DIASs and decide which one is most suitable for your solution. It is possible to combine all the different products that are offered by one DIAS, but you cannot divide up the value of your voucher between different DIASs. And since the timeline of the Copernicus Acceleration Program is limited, we would need to request you to consume all the services before 15th of October this year. Sorry, my presentation is not working. I'm just continuing that. We have, like I said, we have concluded the agreements with the DIASs, and you can start requesting them via email with the contact persons that Martina has already mentioned that you will find at the end of the presentation, and which we will share with you as well. And what we will need to do on the other hand is give a list of your names to the DIAS so that they can perform an eligibility check to know that whoever requests the voucher is actually eligible to receive it. And also the DIAS will then need to share the services that you have consumed with us for the reallocation of cost. So we will of course treat all that information confidentially, but I just need to let you know that. But the actual work that each DIAS perform for you, this is an agreement between you and the DIAS. So when you request the kind of service that you're interested in, you will conclude some kind of agreement with the DIAS, and that's just among you, and AZO will be a neutral interface in case there are any questions. But the service definition will be done by the DIAS. Okay, we have summarized these conditions in the terms of participation that you have agreed to when you started the program. We have uploaded an update of these terms into the database. So I would like to ask you to go to the database and accept these new terms. But whenever you log in for the database for your monthly interaction or to confirm the coaching plans, this is the first that you will see to confirm these new terms. And there you can find it all again in written form. And the list of contact persons that you are seeing right now is also part of these new terms, so you have all the contact details that you need. We will also introduce the contact persons in the next days. We have a LinkedIn group, so you can get in touch with them very easily. So that would be it from my side on the general process. If you have any questions, there is a Q&A functionality in the Zoom tool, and you can write it. And I will answer them as the questions come in. So we can use that slot now for general questions, and after each of the presentations from the DIAS, we will have a Q&A session. So during the DIAS presentations, you can also ask questions, and I will summarize them after each presentation. I've just received the first question, and it says, can I change my DIAS provider? What do you mean? Can you please specify? Do you mean in the course of the accelerator program? Because that would not be possible. you need to select which provider you want, and then use the whole. You have an agreement with this provider, and then you can only use your maximum value with one provider. Before you start using the services, then it depends on the agreement that you make with the DIAS. But you should now use the time after the webinar to explore which is most suitable, and you can go into discussion with them before you choose the webinar to see if it's suitable for you. Are there any other general questions? You can still use the Q&A functionality also on general questions. If you have any, when we now start with the more specific presentations. But I would then give the floor to Alain Berry from Orange for the presentation of the SoBloo DIAS. And yeah, whether you have general or specific questions, just start posting them through or continue posting them through the tool. Thank you very much, and Alain is ready to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, thank you for joining the webinar. So nice to represent SoBloo team today. I am Alain Berry, Business Acquisition Manager from SoBloo Copernicus DIAS. So let's move to my presentation. If you are ready to develop, you should use SoBloo as a universal docking station. And how SoBloo can fit your needs. So first of all, SoBloo is your one-stop shop to develop, run, and share or market your services. Second, SoBloo provides everything you need at hand, so you can be concentrate on your core activities. So we'll develop it into 4 points. First of all, data and APIs, infrastructure as a service, toolboxes and services available on SoBloo, and expert services. So as we say that SoBloo team beyond the data creative ground. So let's move to presentation. So first point, data. So by now over 40 million of Sentinel 1, 2, 3, Sentinel 5P, CAMS and CAMS emergency projects with 1 year rolling archive are available on SoBloo. And all Copernicus core services, CAMS Marines and CLMS, with a world coverage. First of all, and coming soon, high resolution and very high resolution from Spot 6 and 7 and Pleiades, and all others datas. So you will find our catalog web on this link. So I will give you this presentation, of course. And of course, all the APIs, documentations, and tutorials are on those links. And pretty useful code snippets are available directly on the last link. You can read. SoBloo Cloud offer is provided by Orange Flexible Engine with a large choice of cloud resources, 14 flavors shaped to target different needs, storage, network, database, big data, and infrastructure as a service related services as managed services, cloud expert services, design and transition, migration services, IT assessment or cloud readiness assessment, and of course with a complete GDPR compliance. So SoBloo has got an high performance cloud storage and computing served by with a strong SLA and high performance APIs. SoBloo Cloud is online scalable, redundant and fully secured. And you can choose from more than 80 types of VMs. Choose your storage, choose your network, and choose your services you want. Regarding our toolboxes and services, there are many services ready to use to support development and operation of your own service. Of course, Kubernetes, fully configured, ready to run our self-service. You can access to 180 microservices such as RabbitMQ, Kafka, and so on, and SoBloo desktop, and that you can see on the right, and billing as a service. In terms of expert services, SoBloo is powered by Airbus, Orange, Capgemini, CLS, and Vito, all leaders in their domains. And in order to take benefits from our technical, in terms of cloud, transition to cloud, data and API management, scientific applications or system design and application, and optimization, and of course, in terms of business, such as market analysis, business analysis, and communication. I can add that SoBloo has developed other support services, such as early partner program or cloud startup program for startups. So feel free to contact us to have more information on our SoBloo program, of course. So now this is the time for the most important question, how to join SoBloo. So quite simple, you have to redeem your voucher, 100% of SoBloo offer is accessible, and you've got a pay-per-use price model. So up to 2,000 euro paid by SO with your voucher, and above 2,000 paid by the mentee. And you got the three-step process. So you have to contact us using info@sobloo.eu, and please mention a Copernicus accelerator in the UML object. And Thomas or Christophe will take care of you. And order forms has to be signed, of course, and your tenant will be open within days. As written, you turn to play. So thank you, and I will have a pleasure to, I will be happy to answer to your question at the end of the webinar.
One is, I think you have already answered. One participant asked if they have to sign a specific binding contract with the DIAS, and you have already answered that an order form will be signed, so yes, that specific contract may have a different form depending on the different DIASs, but the answer is yes. And one participant has asked how many VHR scenes can be ordered for the value of 2,000 euro. I don't know if you can answer that in general, but maybe you can address the question.
It depends on, so you can just ask, and we will manage your answer. Depends on.
Yeah, okay, that's I think relevant for all the offerings that you are interested in. You have to ask these specific questions to the DIAS contact persons. One other question came up: why Wikio is not eligible. It's not that they are not eligible. It's just that the commercial offering is not available yet, and Allah will give an update on that later in his presentation. The other Allah no. Okay, then I can't see any other questions right now. Please feel free to write additional questions on Allah's presentation in the Q&A section. So far, a lot of you have used the chat functionality. Please use the Q&A button and on the top of your screens. Okay. Thank you very much. Then maybe, like I said earlier, if there are other questions you want to come back to Allah, just ask them, and we will continue with the presentation of Onda DIAS by Frank Ranera.
Hello, I hope you can hear me. So, share my screen. Should be this. Everybody can see it?
Yes, we can see and hear you very well. Thank you.
That's perfect. So I continue the presentation of the DIAS with Onda, which is the one developed by Serco. You will see some commonalities, obviously, with the other DIAS, but one of the differences is obviously the consortium. We are leading it with our cloud provider, that is OVH, and teaming with Gael for the data access elements and Synergize for some services to access the data. So here there is some number with respect to OVH and the distribution of the data center all over Europe mainly, but also all over the world. So with respect to the portfolio, the data that we offer, this is obviously the Sentinel satellite. But I would say that all the free and the publicly available data can be reached through the Creo DIAS. There is a complete archive for Sentinel data starting from June 2016 for all product type. And obviously it's updated on a daily basis. You will recover as well the long-term archive on a gradually based. We do not apply any rolling archive. This means what is today available in the catalog will be available all the time in the catalog. Obviously more that will come with the Sentinel 5P and the core services. I do not mention here the land services that is already available, the marine services as well. And the atmosphere will come as well as the emergency. But you can connect to the web portal and you will have all this information. With respect to data, it's important to mention that it's not limited, obviously, to the free and publicly available data, but also to any data type, EO, non-EO. I will say it's just enough to have a georeference tag or geospatial data. And if they are commercial, there is no problem, obviously. This can be managed in the object storage, on the storage capacity of the DIAS, of the Onda, respecting the distribution constraint, the fact that you decide whether you want to share this data or if you want to keep them private. With respect to the accessing this data, first of all, we are taking them from the ESA hubs. The availability in the Onda catalog is very fast. I indicate here hours, but the latest statistic shows that we can consider the minute as the granularity. Obviously, you have a catalog, and there is an example in the middle of this slide. Here, you can access all this data. The APIs that we use is one OData. This is commonly used, free, accessible. You don't need to have a virtual machine from Onda to use it. You can directly enter your queries in the web portal that you can access through any web site, and not website, any web interface. You can use the semantic search, okay, as well for any complex query. ENS is another API, stands for the Elastic Node Server, which is here you need to have a virtual machine ordered in Onda. And here you can access directly to the product, to the thinnest piece of information within the product, for instance, a metadata or a spectral bands, and you can work on it without any unzip or download to be performed. All of that is relying on the terms that are quite famous and common for the people of the cloud community. This means the NFS protocols, the OpenStack technology, the OpenStack Swift, REST API, but also the orchestration. With respect to the cloud resources, here there is a huge granularity and there is divided in terms of general purpose, computing intensive, memory intensive. You can add some storages. It's very fast again, as I told you, you make your request and you will get in the minute your virtual environment created. I'd already say that it's based on the OpenStack technology for the public cloud offer and the VMware for the private. As soon as you have a virtual environment created, then you have a direct access to all the data I just mentioned before. And this we are talking about multi-petabyte of data worldwide. You have a dedicated dashboard as well when you can scale up or scale down your own virtual environment. And this is when you want. I will say that obviously the advantage of the cloud, the scalability, the fact that you can do it by your own, the flexibility billing here, we are mentioning that you can use the pay-per-use or a monthly subscription, and we can have another business-to-business agreement enter to another type of billing, 6 months and so on. Various type of object storage, SSD, HDD. Confidentiality, obviously. You are the owner of your environment and you do what you need to do with it. We have no vision of that. All of our virtual environments are provided with, let's say, a customized set of tools. It can be processing tools, development tools, dissemination tools, administration tools. This can be set up under your request. We are talking here about Snap, QGIS, Jupyter Notebooks. I mean, all the open source tools that can be available and you may need. If it is not already configured, obviously it can be added. And we are mirroring all the evolution that our cloud provider will develop, talking about the auto scaling, for instance, or elements like that that are actually manual and that will be very soon automatic. That's the marketplace. Within the Copernicus Accelerator, you are developing your own application, you are targeting your customers, and we give you a kind of vitrine to promote your services, but also to sell it. If you need our support to organize a kind of billing, that can be obviously set up jointly. There are complementary services, the managed support to help you building your environment, your services with a dedicated support from Cloud Architect. I already mentioned data hosting with commercial data or sensitive data, and there is a basic support of newsletter and on the 24, we say not 7 hours, but at least during working hours. And we do offer various types of working environment, and you select the one you feel the most confident with, and you can develop your own service. Okay, that's some example of elements that we are already running with the community. That's just a slide that you can keep and read it if you want to remember quickly what Onda is. And with respect to the contact, you can contact me for the accelerator stuff, but you can also use these generic emails or contact points. That's all for me.
That's already been the first question to you. What about GPU availability in Onda?
Yeah, we have this available. It's not appearing in the public portfolio, but make your request in terms of needs and we will respond to it as we have availabilities.
And the next question is if it's possible to integrate other data into the Onda platform like Landsat or IoT stream data, climate data, and if there are any tools and APIs to integrate those data types.
So first, yes, it is feasible to upload any data type. Again, it is any geospatial data can be hosted in the platform. If they are relying obviously on the international standard or GC compliant, mainly all the data like that. With respect to Landsat, it's already available. Landsat 8 is part of our portfolio. And what was your other point? There is 2 elements in your question. First one was the data, and the second one?
And the tools or APIs that are available to integrate such data.
Well, you can use the OData APIs to upload or access to this data. You can ask us to upload them. Again, if it is sensitive data, we can put them in a specific, I would say, protected area, and then you decide to share them or not. And you can access to this data using the standard APIs.
Does that answer your question? Tarun? Yes, okay, good. Then there was one question, I think it was related to the presentation before by SoBloo, what the pay-per-use means specifically. If it's that you have to pay in the based on the amount of data or time, and Christoph has already mentioned answered it in the chat, but maybe you can repeat that for everybody, Christoph.
Yes, for sure. Well, the answer was you just pay for what you consume, basically. So if you use cloud resources, you would pay for them on a minute basis. but we have, let's say, a discount when you go for a monthly use or even a multi-year use, 1, 2, 3 years. And it applies the same for all the services that we provide. You pay for what you consume, no more. We do not have any, let's say, fixed price, whatever the quantity that you actually use. Does this answer your question?
Sasha, does that answer your question? Okay. If there's no further comment, then I think it's answered. But there's another question for SoBloo. If there is a similar functionality to the marketplace that Onda has just presented to promote the products that the mentees develop.
Well, if you refer to the first slide, it says, well, you can develop, run, and share or market your services. So yes, definitely there is a marketplace where you can, let's say, expose, present all your services to the outside world. And so we've got the equivalent, yes, for sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Peter says thank you, so it's answered. Thank you. So I can't see any further questions on SoBloo or Onda. So I would like to continue with Mundi Web Services and the presentation of Jean-Baptiste Larkin.
Yes, good afternoon. Let me. Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Jean-Baptiste Larkin. I'm the Mundi Program Director, and I'm very pleased to introduce to you the voucher scheme that we developed for you. Just as an introduction, not to be too long, I will just remind the 4 key elements that are structuring the DIAS that we built. The first one is we built Mundi on a very scalable cloud platform that is provided by T-System, which is the Open Telecom Cloud. It's a very secure platform with all the necessary services that you need to develop any applications. The second point that is the second key element on Mundi is really our the data collection that we are providing. Of course, we are providing all Copernicus and free available data. But what is very important is that our data collection is backed up by the archive from DLR, and that brings us a huge amount of data that is directly available to you. We have also commercial data available, and that is getting larger and larger every days or every weeks. And the best way to find out of the data collection is really to go on the Mundi website. That's where you will get the most up-to-date information on the data that is available on Mundi. The third element that is key for us to have a proper DIAS is the tools that we are providing to help you concentrate on your domain, on your activities. We have a large range of tools. It goes from Jupyter Notebook to toolboxes and open source libraries. This is already available. Some are already installed in some VM templates. That's really the richness of the platform is coming from there, because, as I said, you can focus on what you want to develop and not on having to look at the proper tools and the proper version of what is necessary. It's the fourth key element of Mundi is I would say is very important. It's support. Support in different ways. We could provide many interesting capabilities in terms of data, in terms of cloud, in terms of tools, but it's always a bit difficult to find out your own way in the usage of these key elements. So our support is really developed in different ways, from a technical way, from a business perspective, and from a functional perspective. And I won't go into more detail into what is provided by Mundi, because as I said before, the best we have invested a lot of time and effort to provide exhaustive documentations in the help section of mundiwebservices.com, and that's where you will find always the most updated data information that is made available to you to better understand what you can do with Mundi. And also, what is important into this documentation is that it has been designed in different ways, both to have an exhaustive documentations and also some ways to have step-by-step approach to tackle the different solutions that you need to implement. Mundi Web Services. I would say that Mundi is a DIAS with a very special flavor. It's based on a best-of-breed consortium, and this really makes, well, we believe it really makes a difference. It is, first of all, it is operated by two large IT partners. Ethos is the prime of this consortium. This system provides this very high-performance cloud, public cloud. But what is also very important is that we have a network of companies that you can see on the slides that are both covering different geographies. They are all addressing different thematic related to Earth observations, and they provide Mundi with a real high knowledge on the Earth observation and what and to help you what you want to do. This setup, this consortium, with I would say the value of all the members, allow us to address all the different thematics, all the different domains, and it's true that as we have been operating for almost 1 year, since March last year, it's true that we are today focusing on the agricultural domain and also the urban domain, but we have, through our consortium, the real capabilities to help you in this resource. To come to the vouchers, well, as it was explained before, it's a 2,000 euros voucher, which is available for the duration of the exercise. The vouchers can be used for any service provided by Mundi, resources, non-Copernicus data, tools, support, consulting. And in addition, we're offering free services, which is a marketplace business accelerator, which is there to provide some initiatives to help you promote what you are doing. How to apply? That's very simple. First of all, the first thing to do is really to come on Mundi and register as a user. That will allow you to have a complete unlock platform, and you will be able to discover all the informations and the capabilities of the platform. Then you simply have to send us a request using the contact form. I gave the address, but you can also do it directly by contacting me. And then, as soon as we are in contact, we will contact you very shortly, and we try to gather some details of your project or what you want to do, mainly to make sure that we can help you to go in the good directions. We will finalize an agreement, and we will assign a tenant to you, and then it's up to you to go and to work on the platform. Well, that's it. Again, all the information is available on mundiwebservices.com. This is the most accurate place to look for information. And if you have any question before that, you can always contact me, and I will be very happy to answer and to help you through this process. Thank you very much. If you have any question, I will be very happy to answer.
questions yet, but one question is how do the mentees monitor the services that they have used through the voucher? I think this is not a specific question to you, but maybe to all of you, how this can be monitored through your platform or how you will handle that.
Well, as a user of Mundi, you have your own dashboard. The dashboard gives you a view of all the consumption that you are doing on the resources, of all the services that you have bought or used, so that you are always aware of what is consumed, what is left, and that gives you full control of what you have, what you want to do.
Okay. I assume that this is similar for the other DIAS, but maybe you may want to comment in case it's handled differently for SoBloo, Onda, or Creo.
Well, on SoBloo side, it's just the same.
Well, for Onda, as I mentioned in my presentation, you have a dedicated dashboard from where you can see your consumption. It's based on the OpenStack technology, so you can manage your virtual environment and decide to stop a machine, to put it in pause, or even to cancel it. You see your consumption. Okay.
Maybe that's something I think that Alain has mentioned in his presentation, that when the voucher of 2,000 euros is used up, then of course if services that go beyond this amount, then it needs to be paid by the mentees. And yep. I would like to ask you all to include that in your specific agreements up front, if you can already foresee that the value will be higher. And then it's great that the participants have the possibility to monitor their own consumption.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We have in the meantime received another question that's probably also not specific to one of you. How far back do the Sentinel archives go? Is there a rolling window where you can see data availability?
Well, basically on Mundi, we have, for Sentinel data, we have a rolling windows of 4 years of Sentinel data available online. And as I mentioned before, we have, as part of the consortium, we have access to the full archive from the DLR, which provide data from all the beginning from all missions, from the start of the missions.
So questions like this can be posed also to the different DIASs directly when you talk about the services or your service request, if it's that specific, or maybe include other data that go beyond the Sentinel. So we don't see another question for you, Jean-Baptiste, so I would like to say thank you. Yes. There is another one. Do you also provide access to climate services? Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
we also do provide. It's part of what we call the data collection. That's why I meant it's very important to go on the website, because that's where you get all the information. And we do provide the climate services and other core services.
Okay, great. Then I would now like to pass the floor on to Bernard Stepien from Creo DIAS for his presentation. And please do continue asking questions. And maybe you can do it like Taras just did. If it's a question that is not related to Bernard's presentation, just say for whom the question is, if you pose another question in the tool. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's just a simple question. If you can see my screen, that's always good to know.
Yeah, we can see your screen, but it's not full screen.
Okay. I see that there is some issue on my side, but I will try to fix it. Let me stop for a moment because my computer has got mad. Yeah, I hope not. Now it should be okay. Let me start sharing again. There is something about the graphic card. Just please let me know how it is now.
Now it is full screen. Thank you very much.
Okay, so something went wrong with the graphical. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Creo DIAS, okay, first thing which I would like to mention maybe at least 3 times during this presentation, the best way to work with vouchers would be, I think, contact me and Krzysztof directly. We have met with all of you, in fact, in Marseille. So you have seen our faces, and just to shorten the reaction time, because anyway, if you contact DIAS in another way, everything will be forwarded to us both. So maybe it would be better and more feasible to go to us directly. Then if it comes to DIAS, what is DIAS and what we have, more or less, we have what every other DIAS have. So first, there is this IT cloud, which is of course fully accessible in the voucher scheme. Just as there was a question about GPUs, yes, there is a GPU possibility, and of course, as different GPUs can be used, in fact, because there is some issue with licenses, that each case of GPU usage should be consulted individually, because there can be dramatic change in costs depending on the actual GPU being used. If it comes to data, there are also questions about it. We more or less have a full repository of Sentinel data and Copernicus program data in general for whole Europe, with some exception for Sentinel-1 SLC, where the data outside Europe is rolled every 6 months, but it is for Europe. We say the data scope is full. Data is like in other DIAS platforms available directly, what's in line with this general DIAS concept. And in fact, as this presentation time is limited, I strongly encourage you just to go to our webpage, where you simply could find every information which would have been interested to any of you, because you may have different needs, different things could be important for different people. Then you can find everything about hardware configuration. There is very detailed description of available data. There are user guides, frequently asked questions sections, APIs are being described and also quite extensive knowledge bases available. How to do this? Simply go to the page. You see there is this offer section where you can select different sections, so starting from processing, description, services descriptions, through data, up to pricing plans. Then, of course, you can check what is the data scope in this data catalog section. We have each data set described in very detail. So what is the satellite, what is the coverage, what is the scope of products. Also, it's, in my opinion, fairly easy to find these things. Then if it comes to pricing, then there is pricing plans are being published and are public. And of course, we cannot price anything higher than these prices which are listed. This is our agreement with Visa, so we can only be, let's say, cheaper than listed. And we strongly encourage you to ask us for specific needs, specific configurations, because there are some possibilities to limit the costs, especially that we can simply advise you what kind of environment would be the most efficient for your needs, because sometimes people tend to, let's say, overestimate their needs, and there is a definitely field for efficiency. Then I have mentioned knowledge base. This is also the good place to start your experience with Creo DIAS. There is information about our offering, our plans. There are also some dashboards and clear instructions how to set up the environment. Usually in different projects, different activities, mostly we get questions about API. So how to use the API, how it's structured. It's fairly easy to find. Just there is a search feature. You just put 3 letters API and search, and we'll get all needed information. And of course, there are ways to browse the data. We have the EO browser solution and our own EO Finder solution. If it comes to EO browser, this is the tool which is also available in other hubs and DIASes. Maybe with one difference, in our case, we have extended the search capabilities with semantic search, and I would rather show this because other things are more or less similar to other platforms. Then in our case, you can ask questions using, let's say, semantic technologies. I'm just showing the natural language part of the window, so you can see that there are some sentences in natural language which are above, because this is now scrolled a bit down, which are shown also in form of a script. But having these natural language examples of questions and script is fairly easy to modify it just to have an understanding how this thing works. So for example, if you would in this first sentence replace Etna by the name of some other volcano, it's easy to find Etna in the script, that you will get information about all images which fulfill this criteria. And of course, this is not simple. That's why I strongly encourage you to use our support. Like in other DIASs, we can support you in different dimensions, starting from setting up your hardware environment through the use of data. We also can offer project management competencies if needed, or some Earth observation related competence, which we have inside our consortium in our DIAS team. And just to let you understand how this, let's say, semantic search features work, maybe I will show a short film showing how this data is integrated with DBpedia, which is a computer understandable web version of Wikipedia. You see there are hexagons which you can click, and you see different data category, different sites of interest, different places, which then if you click on these names on the left, you can get the DBpedia input related to these objects. If you have decided what's interesting to you, you can select certain imagery which is covering the area of interest with objects which could be searched using the semantic web technology features. So this is something what so far has been the most appreciated feature and differentiator of our DIAS if compared to others. So you can see the images. So you can search using semantic web or semantic web technologies using Inspire and get quite new possibilities. And as I have said, just to repeat it again, if you would like to understand more details about hardware configurations, we name the flavors, these predefined configurations, but flavor means configuration in our case. What is the data scope, how the API is structured, how to use the platform, go to Creo DIAS EU. And if it comes to any issues related to vouchers, please go to me and Krzysztof, especially that in written order would need to be signed, just to have a crystal clear understanding of the scope and terms and conditions. So waiting for you contacting us, and thank you for your attention.
Very much, Fernand. Are there any specific questions to Creo DIAS? Okay. Then I would like to go directly to the next presentation by the Wikio DIAS by Alain Arnaud from Mercator Ocean. Yeah, you can still continue posing your questions, of course. Alain, the floor is yours.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
We can hear you.
Sorry. Okay. I'm trying to share my screen. Good. Sorry. So I'm going to quickly talk about Wikio. As you mentioned from the beginning, I was trying issue with that, but I'm starting with that because the question was already asked. We are out of the, let's say, the Voucher scheme for the time being because we are not yet commercially launched, so you cannot spend your money, or what is not your money yet, but will be your money soon with us. I'm just going to make you a quick description of what is making the difference between Wikio and the other one, and maybe to explain you why. And we apologize for that. We cannot be providing you the services for the time being. So let's say what Wikio is different from the other one is that we are not run by a bunch of private company, but by three, let's say, public entities that are Mercator Ocean International, SoBloo, and EUMETSAT, that are much more known for, let's say, both satellite and Copernicus service activities. And in this project, we have, let's say, split the role under those three lines of activity. EUMETSAT is in charge of the infrastructure part. SoBloo also tools like they are doing currently for the climate data center. And for us, we're in charge in Mercator Ocean of the user part, development, support, management, everything. Okay, so quickly, we are doing that, let's say, from those companies we consider that it's important because we can bring and continue to bring, let's say, the Copernicus expertise to our users. And we have selected a different approach because wanting to minimize the risks, we have decided to build our DIAS on existing infrastructure as much as possible. So meaning that we are not going to duplicate things in the cloud, but to try to use what we already have in the different, let's say, services and federating them in a federated cloud approach, okay? In order to do that, we rely strongly on the industry, and we are running some big procurements in terms of network and infrastructure to do that. And this is what's creating this delay, because some of the procurement are not yet, let's say, attributed. So we don't have, let's say, a fully operational system for the time being. This will happen normally in October of this year, okay? So currently we are doing some demos, but what we believe is the operational Wikio on which you could spend your money will not be available before this date. So I'm going just to pinpoint something that is very interesting, let's say, for your future, maybe not for your present, but what we do in Wikio that is making us very different, apart from the standard things, is that we have this distributed infrastructure. This means that we rely on different points for, let's say, giving access to the data. So it's not centralized, it's something that is federated. And what we propose also in the future of our cloud is to have also a federated offer. So it won't be maybe the case for you at the beginning of your activity, but as soon as you are having some, let's say, good data set that you want to share with other people, we can analyze the fact to become a Wikio provider, okay? So in case you're fitting, let's say, the qualification for this, you will have your offer of services and possibly of data integrated in our federative approach. Okay, so again, I apologize, we're not going to be open before October of this year, so you can keep your money to spend that with the other one, but do remember us in the future in case you want to test our DIAS. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Alain. I think that was a very great presentation on the current status. And are there any specific questions for Wikio at this point? I only see one question in the FAQ section at the moment that actually is a very good wrap up for our webinar today. Maybe each of the other representatives can say in a few words, what is your USP? What makes you stand out from the other DIAS providers, just as Alain has just done that for Wikio. I would like to hand back the floor to Alain Berry. Sorry.
Yes, can you hear me? So we're unique because all the I think that the expertise of our consortium powered by Airbus, Orange, Capgemini, CLS, and Vito is a pretty good additional value in working together with new opportunities, business opportunities, and of course research opportunities. So I think that all of our assets, addition to your asset, can provide a real new solution based on Earth observation.
Thank you. What is the USP of Onda?
Okay, if I just want to add something, so during for early partners, during an additional 3 months, the 3 coming months, we'll also add a minimum of 15% of all the amount to develop much more all the activities. So welcome to our early partner.
Okay, thank you. Frank, what's your closing words for today?
Yeah, but that's an interesting question that we get very often. And to be honest, I think that it's up to all of you to tell us why we are unique. So I invite you to come to talk to us, to work with us, and to decide whether we are unique, or if we are different, or if we are the same than the other. Today, the relation that we have with our customer is the one that are existing today is very well established, and we are a very trustful relationship. Maybe one of the elements that can be interesting is this horizontal approach. We absolutely do not focus thematic. We give you the means to develop your own stuff, and we just make the road with you to make it a success. So tell us why we are unique. I expect you to tell me that, or why we are not unique. Also, there's something I can be interested in.
Okay, I hope that after this webinar, there will be an active exchange between all the DIAS and all the mentees. And after that, you will be able to answer that question. In the meantime, Jean-Baptiste, is there anything you would like to add on Mundi?
Yes, well, it's difficult to stand out after everybody says why. But I would say that I believe that Mundi stands out because it's operated by two IT partners, and we are here to make to give you the capabilities to develop your own knowledge, your own services, and we are not here to do it at your, to do it for you. We are just here to help you do things the best you can in the most efficient way. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you. That was very clear. Dana, would you like to add?
Yes, so at least what I have learned from the users, because maybe this is the best source to know why we differentiate from others. So they mention usually 2 or 3 things. First thing is the data availability, more or less you have full set of locally stored data with these exceptions which I mentioned. Then second thing is this semantic web feature, semantic search possibility. That's why I decided to show it in my presentation. And the third thing, which in fact is also very much appreciated, is the fact that we have found ourselves in the position of matchmaker, I must say. So we're in the middle of community, linking people with needs with people with solutions. So we can help providing DIAS platform, but also if somebody wants to know if something can be discovered using Sentinels, we know people who know the answers.
Okay, yeah, I think that is a very important point also for all what we expect from the voucher scheme, that it helps the mentees on board in the community, and that all of you can support them in this process. With that, I would like to thank you all for your participation today, and we've come to the end of the webinar. All the presentations will be shared with you, and of course the recording will be published on YouTube, like with all the other Copernicus Accelerator webinars. We will share the link with you shortly. And please let me also announce already our next webinar, which will take place on the 14th of March. It is about entrepreneurial stories from Copernicus Accelerator alumni. So mentees that have gone through the acceleration program in the last cohort will share their experience and how they have benefited from the acceleration program with you in that webinar. Until then, I hope that there will be an active exchange now with the DIASs. Please come back to us if you have any other questions that could not be answered in the presentation. We will of course also share our presentation, and like I said, please go to the database and go through the terms for your references. And with that, I would like to hand back to the European Commission. Martina, is there anything you would like to add?
No, not to add, but I wanted to thank you, my colleagues from RZO and SafeSec, not only for setting up this webinar, but also the efforts we put into to establish the agreements with the DIAS providers. And I would also like to thank the DIAS providers, because I think it's very important that for the startup, that there are now, let me say, faces on the DIAS, so that we have concrete contact persons, because that was a bit lacking, I think, in Marseille. At least that was my impression, that the DIAS was something very abstract, and of course this is an important objective from the Commission side to change this situation. So again, what I said also at the beginning, to the mentees and to the colleagues from the DIAS, take advantage of this opportunity and use these new services to the extent possible. So thanks a lot, and have a nice evening to all of you.
Thank you very much, Martina, and thank you very much to all the DIAS representatives today, and of course to all the participants that have spent the rest of the afternoon with us. Thank you very much, and see you on the 14th of March for the next webinar.
Bye.
Thanks to everybody, and see you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.